How's it going, guys? My name is Zach with the Movie Castle, and today we're going to be taking a look at 3 of my full moon movies on DVD. I've been wanting to do this series for a while, and I figured it'd be great to start now, where each time I take a look at 3 different movies. I do little mini movie reviews, no major spoilers, but I will cover the plot and make sure you guys know a little bit about what it's about, but also why we're here. Let's go ahead and take a look at the physical media for these. For those of you guys who don't know, Full Moon was a movie studio. I think they're still around, but they were really big back in the 90s. Then the VHS video store rental period, they would have all these movies with crazy covers to get you to go and take a look and rent the movie, and they did quite well during this period. A lot of their stuff was on VHS, later released onto DVD, and that is what we're taking a look at now. And they focused primarily in horror, but the first one we have here is sci-fi, not exclusively horror. And for those of you guys who paid attention and you know, all 3 of these movies were shown during the 13 Nights of Elvira, which you can currently stream on Amazon Prime at the time of recording. I don't know how long it's going to stay on there. Amazon Prime movies tend to come and go pretty quickly, but at the time of recording it's on there. And if you guys are Full Moon fans, during the 13 Nights of Elvira, she reviewed or showed quite a few Full Moon movies, so you might want to check that out. But anyway, jumping right in, the first one, like I said, a sci-fi movie, not a horror movie, even though we do have the original Wishmaster in there, Andrew Divoff. He plays a villain, Red Eye, who got his name, I guess, because he lost an eye and has a big eye patch with a red jewel in it. But he shows up with his gang, you know, the lady with the whips, the guy who dances around with a knife, and the big guy for muscle, and the other guy who's kind of in the background, and you can guess he doesn't end up doing much. But anyway, they come to this town. They kill the sheriff. The deputy wants revenge, but she's a cyborg, and they have a special element that is not good for electronics and shuts her down, so she wants revenge but can't get it. And you have some other members in the town, a seemingly psychic Undertaker that shows up whenever he's going to be needed, so people are scared of him, and it's played by Carl Shrunken of the Addams Family. You get Julie Newmar, Catwoman in the Adam West Batman, playing Miss Kitty, which gives her another excuse to meow a lot, but she's the owner of the bar. And then George Takei, who works on machines from Star Trek, and he's also the town drunk, which gives him an excuse to make a lot of drunken Star Trek jokes. For example, he's drinking a bottle of Jim Beam and says drunkenly, "Hey Jim, beam me up." But overall, a really fun character. But anyway, the main character comes in. He's Zach, the son of the sheriff that just died, and he's out panning for rare materials because he wants to earn his way off of Oblivion. Oblivion is kind of a distant world off in the middle of nowhere. Along the way, he makes friends with a native Oblivion, which, for whatever reason, looks a lot like a Native American, which is kind of odd because the 2 worlds were so very far apart, but probably one of these things that don't focus too much heavily on the logic there. But he shows up, and at first he's trying to be really a pacifist, and you find out why later, but he gets pulled into fighting this gang, and there's a big showdown and stuff. This movie is kind of weird because it's trying to be cheesy and it's trying to be a comedy, but it's a low-budget Full Moon movie, so naturally it's already cheesy, and here you get kind of like a double cheesy flavor. I do have to applaud, there's a ton of creativity in this movie, a bunch of little creatures and fun effects, and a bunch of wild and crazy characters and designs, and it's really, really cool. Sometimes it's a little just weird, you know, there's a girl in here wearing a banana skirt, literally a string with bananas tied to it that she wears around her waist for, who knows why. And there's things like there's ceiling fans everywhere, even outside for some reason, and they put the ceiling fan below the lights for some reason, even though that would create really weird and wacky shadows. I'm not 100% sure on that. So even though this is creative and there's some cool stuff, some of the creativity does go in pretty weird directions. You're like, okay, so why is that there? So yeah, it's weird and super cheesy, and you know, the pacing is a little slow. But that being said, there's some people who are gonna totally vibe with this movie. Some people that will really be this movie's crowd, and I can really see some people really, really loving it and being obsessed with it. So, hey, if that's you, good for you. More power to you. I still think it's a good movie, but I will say it is really weird and cheesy. But anyway, there's the disc Oblivion hem, you know, with the mountains behind him, and the disc art is repeated on the inner side of this. Full Moon does clear case, not Full Moon, Shout Factory does clear cases a lot, and they always take advantage either with reversible disc art or wide displays like this. That's pretty cool. I do like Shout Factory for putting this out. It's a pretty good release. One thing though is they didn't put the Full Moon logo on the spine, which is a minor gripe, but when all my other Full Moon movies have it, I kind of sad that this one doesn't have Full Moon on the spine. You do get a nice picture of Red Eye there. Full Moon logo is on the disc and is on the back, so it's at least there in some spots, but I like it. Anyway, that's Oblivion. Moving right along to Shrunken Heads. You know, I talked about earlier about how they'd have these wacky covers to get your attention, and here you get the heads flying at the camera, even though that's not exactly how they look. But anyway, superheroes from their heads to their necks. This is actually, believe it or not, kind of trying to be a superhero movie. So Shrunken Heads, there's the spine. Full Moon does number their movies, although their releases are a little bit inconsistent as to whether they'll have their numbers on them or not. But this is Full Moon number 101, Shrunken Head on the spine, and there's that Full Moon logo I talked about. Although, like I said, with some of the inconsistent releases, sometimes the Full Moon logo is on the bottom, sometimes it's on the top. But I do like to see it there. It looks cool in the collection. So Full Moon number 101. Flip it to the back. In this movie, I watched it without knowing the plot, and in turn, you're up for some big surprises. But I'll go ahead and talk about the gist of the plot. You get these three kids who are all comic book nerds. One of them's falling in love with a girl who's in love with this other guy who is a local bully, but starting to join the gang of Big Mo. Now, in order to go after him, the kids, initially they film some of the other young gang members stealing parts off a car, and then later, when they get picked up by the gang for doing that, they run off with the gambling receipts, cutting off the gangsters' finances. Now, they're in danger, and they probably underestimated how much danger, because the gangster shows up and kills them. Which, like I said, I hadn't read the plot summary before watching this movie. I did not expect that to happen. I thought the Shrunken Heads were going to be some evil thing that they found and had to fight off, but no, they're the Shrunken Heads. You see, Mr. Sumatra, who owns the newsstand that they get their comic books from, is sad to see the kids die, so goes into the funeral parlor and cuts off their heads and turns them into Shrunken Heads. You see, he's actually from Haiti, so he knows how to do all this stuff, and he's a former member of the police force, so he wants to fight crime, so he turns the kids into severed heads, and they go out and fight crime. You see, one of them's got a knife that he spits up out of his mouth. Another one has like vampire teeth, and I think they like can shoot electricity from their eyes. But anyway, they go out and fight crime. They kill criminals, but the criminals come back as zombies, but not threatening zombies, good zombies that can feel compelled to do acts of civil service, like cleaning up graffiti and cleaning up litter. So this is kind of a bonkers idea, but once it gets going, you really do get invested into it. And the kids, the longer they do this, they become less and less human and more shrunken head. And it is a fun and crazy movie. But that being said, you may also notice the gangster Big Mo, played by Meg Foster, and Meg Foster was also the cyborg deputy in this movie. So 2 Meg Foster movies there, kind of did that unintentionally. But anyway, Shrunken Heads is a fun, crazy full moon movie, and I guess that's why you watch full moon movies, is for the crazy times like this, and I really did have fun with it once it got going. But boy, talk about a weird concept. Shrunken Heads, superheroes that fight crime, and then the criminals become do-gooding zombies, and then they have to fight a gang. That is crazy. Another crazy one. Hideous. Deformed, depraved, and deadly. And before we get in, pardon this disc's appearance. For those of you guys who don't know, DVDs, when they're in the store, quite often have a little sticker across the top and sometimes the sides. And I bought this movie used, and the guy before me did not peel the sticker off all the way, and it kind of got all old and gross there. Ugh. But, so anyway, pardon the case's appearance. Maybe I'll replace it or something. But anyway, Hideous, and this one is missing its full moon number. I don't know if this movie had a number or not, but it's not on this release. But there's the full moon logo. But anyway, this movie opens up with a guy who is unclogging the pipes of the sewers and teaching some new guys how to do it when they pull this thing up, which is a deformed human fetus. He pulls it out and opens up a telephone to call this lady he knows. This lady is a dealer in biological oddities who buys it from him and sells it to a collector of biological oddities. Now, the thing is, though, there's another rival collector who she was in a deal that he would get first dibs on anything that came through. She backed out on that deal, and that makes this other collector mad. So the collector that was supposed to have first dibs steals the thing from the other collector and takes it back to his castle. So you get the collector that it was stolen from, the dealer's secretary, who's really a funny ditzy character. They hire a detective and go to this guy's castle to try to get the specimens back, but it's not really dead, and it has the power to bring these other 3 deformed, hideous, as in the title, little puppets back to life, and then in turn they have to worry about the rival collectors and the puppets that might come after them. With this movie, the puppets don't show up till probably way too late well, I mean, they're there, but they don't do much until way too late in the movie. I would prefer if this one had like way more puppets all the way throughout. Sadly, it doesn't. But what keeps the movie going is the fact that these 2 collectors are at each other's throats and they're passionately fighting against one another. And the rivalry between these 2 characters really does do a good job to fill up the screen when you're not seeing the really cool Full Moon puppets. Full Moon was great at doing puppets. A lot of their movies are killer puppet movies, especially, obviously, they're most known for Puppet Master. So, cool puppets in this movie. Flip it to the back, you can see things like them in their jars and a group shot. And although I don't think you can actually see anything, I'm gonna keep my thumb over this blonde lady because their outfit might show a little more than YouTube would like. The blonde lady is the collector that stole the thing's secretary, and she is you know, not wearing much throughout the whole movie. You get the famous scene where they steal the thing, and she's shirtless with a gorilla mask on, a reference to the Gorilla Girls from way back when. But yeah, she's there to make sure guys rent the movie several times from the store. It's a tactic that happened. But anyway, so a pretty cool cast of characters that keep things going for the most part while the puppets aren't on screen. This isn't the best full moon movie, but it's still pretty good, and is actually one of the easier ones to find, but not the craziest thing, not the best thing. Go ahead and open it up. There's the disc is the same as the cover, but zoomed in a little bit. I actually forgot to take a look at the Shrunken Heads disc. Same deal with that, same poster art on the disc, but this one still has its ad. You know, they're trying to get people to go to their website to get shirts and toys and movies and prop replicas. Full Moon did actually do a bunch of prop replicas, which really cool thing to do. But you can see some of their other movies advertised there. Are you guys focused well enough on that? There we go. But yeah, cool Full Moon ad. I wish my other one still had it. Maybe just wasn't released with it. But anyway, there we go. That's the first 3 Full Moon movies. Fun movies. Do quick little reviews. Look at the physical media. So I'll try to get a volume 2 out of this pretty soon. Fun movies, and there was a sequel to Oblivion, Backlash: Oblivion 2. So I'll try to make sure that that movie appears when I do volume 2. I don't know much about it. I think they were actually filmed back to back, so it should be a cool continuation of the story. Anyway, to everyone who's watched so far, thank you for watching. To everyone who's liked and subscribed, thank you. You really are helping the channel out. If you want to see more Full Moon stuff, I have reviewed a few other of their movies, and I'll put a playlist down at the bottom. I did their Slasher Fest pack. I reviewed the first Puppet Master as well, and there's, I think, at least one more video. But anyway, have a good day. I'll see you guys again very, very soon, and Full Moon playlist on the bottom.